Welcome to 2026 Fandroids. This is, of course, The Stack. I don't know, I'm still workshopping the name. Old Man Fanboy sounded good to me too, so we'll see. Anyway, I apologize for it being January 13th, and this is the first recording of 2026 for The Stack, and that is because I had a bad cold last week. It still kind of stuck around, and I was hoping that it would go away. Uh, so my voice is a little bit weak, and I have hot tea, and I have a stack of books. So let's get to it, shall we? First of all, I'll go over the books that I read, and then go to the books that I purchased, but am a little behind on in terms of the other stacks I've got. And we'll just hopefully come across some cool things. And if there's a book you love that you think I should be reading, please, by all means, let me know. Editor at fanboyplanet.com. I've said it all the way across. We're still in the midst of the Kickstarter campaign for Horror Not Hate, the anthology of comics and art that all proceeds after printing and distribution will go to civil rights groups. We need that now more than ever. So keep it up. It's good stuff, by the way. I've been seeing all kinds of artists post on Instagram with this story, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how cool some of this stuff looks. Anyway, first up, JSA. Whoop, yeah, JSA Year One, Chapter 3, and I think I talked about Chapter 2, but I might have been behind at the time, so I'm going to go through here as always. And its writer is Jeff Lemire, artist is Gavin Guidry, colors Luis Guerrero, and letters are Steve Wands, with a cover by Dave Johnson. I love this. As I mentioned before, I'm a sucker for the Golden Age heroes, and that stems back from being about 6 years old, and my parents gave me The Great Comic Book Heroes by Jules Feiffer, and that was 1971, and an introduction to a lot of Golden Age heroes. Plus, then there were Slurpee cups, which again, for some reason, very much dwelled on the Justice Society of America. So I love this fun book explaining the Spectre in there. I also appreciate that now, with whatever you want to call this new history of the DC universe, that Dan Garrett, I think it's Dan Garrett, the original Blue Beetle, is placed in 1940, 1941. And, so it's kind of cool. They don't do much with him, but it's nice to see him there. And as a mystical character, which I guess is accurate, but I'll be honest, I don't know that much about the Golden Age Blue Beetle, so I'll learn more. But otherwise, any book that gives me both Johnny Thunder and the Spectre, I'm very happy. So, JSA, that's actually number 15. So we go through there. That's Night Fight, not Knife Fight. Joshua Williamson is the writer. Dan Mora, God, I love Dan's work, is the artist. Triona Farrell is colors. Tom Napolitano is letters. And I'm glad that I ended up with the main cover, which is by Dan Mora. So Night Fight number 3, 4, it's in the midst of a DCKO event. And even though I was not terribly sold on it from the first issue, I kept up with it because I kind of have this weird rule of threes. You might call it a problem, but I do give books more than one issue, unless I really, really feel there's no future here. And it is being used to kind of define a little bit more Joshua Williamson doing some interesting things with Bruce Wayne's character, and also from the heart of Apocalypse. And it feels a lot more like there's an intelligence behind it, if that is indeed what is driving the events of this book, off to the left of DCKO. So it's interesting. And if you are waiting for trade paperbacks, I think it'll be worth it. I think it'll be worth it. As is, again, I'm suddenly realizing, for a guy who said, I don't like Batman, or not that I don't like him, that you're just tired of Batman. I'm reading a lot of Batman. On the app, I'm reading Batman and Robin, which has been Oh my gosh, fantastic. And Batman #5 right here. Matt Fraction. Jorge Jimenez is the artist, and Tomeo Mori on colors. Clayton Cowles with Jorge Jimenez doing lettering. This is subtitled Date Night, and I don't know what to tell you. I'm just enjoying the heck out of this book, and it's been a long time since I've like gleefully looked forward to a Batman book beyond Batman World's Finest by Mark Waid and Dan Mora originally, and I think Mark Waid's still writing it, loving that book. The Scourge of the Serpent wraps up. This is #4 by, of course, I love that this has classic uh, Marvel credits. It's jumping. Joe Canola is the color artist. Grim Jim Zub is the writer. Ironclad Ivan Gill is the artist. And Rascally Richard Starkings. He is rascally. I know him, so I can say that. Comicraft's Titanic, Tyler Smith. And they're both on lettering. And Calamitous Chris Butera. I interviewed Chris this past summer with Zub, and man, he's doing a great job as editorial of piecing this all together. Though I think he and Jim Zub are working very well in lockstep. Anyway, this brings the whole this year's crossover event of Robert E. Howard's characters to a close. They've managed to integrate 3 short stories that Robert E. Howard published with different characters and kind of changed the meaning of them a little bit and played up the connections, and it's very cool. So different than last year's Battle of the Black Stone, and this year's Scourge of the Serpent is leading up to 2 evil forces against each other for next year's crossover, I guess. Obviously, I'm having a good time with Robert E. Howard books, and they are short stories being adapted that I have not yet actually read. I've read about half of the Conan stories, and the only thing that I'm missing this year, and I guess it's because he had his own miniseries, was it's a shame Solomon Kane couldn't fit in there somewhere, but there you go. So that's it. Thank you for the patience on the team. So now books that I have not read. Absolute Green Lantern #10. I'm enjoying how weird this book is, and it kind of reminds me of, in the weirdness, like Far Sector. If you remember that book, which introduced Joe Mullane, who was in here as a Lantern, but I loved that book because of just how different it was. And the same things here. Al Ewing is the writer, Sid Kochin is the art, and Pressy is on colors. Lucas Gattoni is letters, and I kind of dig this cover. So these days I don't know how much a cover really grabs someone's attention, but because most people are getting their comics by going into the shop, and maybe you're already going through whatever catalog ahead of time, which I don't know about everybody else, but the House of Secrets in Burbank has definitely been had some bad luck. Like last week actually had some of the books came in on Wednesday and some of the books came in on Thursday. So there's still a lot of kinks to be worked out with the modern distribution system for comics. But anyway, a new story starts here. Absolute Superman #16. I love this book also because it's just different enough. It's almost like more of a Superboy book, but that's okay. Jason Aaron is the writer, Juan Ferreira is the artist and colors, and Becca Carey is letterer. This has been also great fun. Again, as I said last week, I like all the Absolute books. I am still kind of hoping in a weird way that the Absolute universe and the all-in mainstream universe collide, and maybe the Absolute universe goes away, but only because I'm kind of a proponent of stories ending. And yet this is so cool. So anyway, The Blue Falcon and Dynamite #5 from Dynamite. I'm not reading all of the Hanna-Barbera books they've got, but Jimmy Palmiotti is the writer, Pasquale Quilano on art, Jorge Sutil on colors, and Jeff Eckelberry is lettering. I don't know, for some dumb reason when I was a kid, I really enjoyed Blue Falcon and Dynamite, even though I think initially it was very silly. Somehow Jimmy Palmiotti made this silly concept work in a more serious vein, and yet there's still just a touch of the silly because you can't avoid it. But uh, I don't have a strong enough memory of Blue Falcon and Dynamite to know, did we ever know his secret identity? I know we saw villains and they are here, uh, but I don't remember if we had a secret identity. Anyway, I do appreciate this book. I'm enjoying it, although I'm just behind. Cheetah and Cheshire rob the Justice League. I believe this wraps it up. Number 6. I absolutely, by the way, need to catch up on this because I think that some things have happened in here that will have impact elsewhere. I'm not quite sure that it ties into um, DCKO or leads up to it, but again, I just like the squad they got. Greg Rucka is the writer, Nicholas Scott is the artist, Annette Kwok is on colors, and Troy Pateri's letters. And it's just a fun heist thing, and I love the team. And I don't know. I have this thing where I really like Clarion the Witch Boy for some strange reason. So seeing him get a major thing is pretty cool. Anyway, enjoying this book quite a bit. Just behind on it because I'm behind on a few. I think I might be caught up with this one, and I meant to read it because I was enjoying this. Archie versus Minor Threats, number 4. This is by Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, and Timmy Heeg are the writing. Scott Koblish is the is the artist, and High Fire's colors. Nate Piekos is on letters. This reminds me of Archie Meets the Punisher, even though it's very different. But somehow they have made this work. The clash of these two very different worlds kind of makes sense, and Reggie is not one of the bad guys. I'm not sure. Like I said, I think an issue behind, but I'm not sure. Anyway, very much. If you are not enjoying the books in the Minor Threats sub universe, whatever you want to say, it's a connected miniseries. You're missing out. It's really fun and great. So, Ultimate X-Men by Peach Momoko, number 23. We are getting very close to the end of the Ultimate Universe, and as I said, that's legitimate. This version of the Ultimate Universe will come to an end, and I say this version because, of course, there was an Ultimate Universe before years ago. I don't think, except for Miles Morales, that other version really played out very well. I mean, it did give us the Maker as well, who is the villain driving everything for this Ultimate Universe. But yeah, I don't know if any of these characters will carry over somewhere else in Marvel, but I do like that this saga, if you will, is reaching a conclusion, and I'm enjoying the build up all the way through, man. Thanks for allowing the tea breaks. I should have read this one and I forgot in the stack that I am caught up, so I apologize. Then Synthetics number 3 of 4, Synthetics Volume 1. J. Michael Straczynski, the writer, Tony Parker, the artist, Kerry Strachan is the colorist, and Steve Jutro on letters. And this is hard sci-fi, and it's interesting. So I'm now kicking myself that in anticipation of this recording, I did not get to read it. But I will say, as it's 2026, I've also kind of made a resolution to myself that I'm going to read more books, not just comics. And so I've been kind of alternating between stacks of comics and reading novels. So it's one that came out last week, and I don't have it within reach to hold up, but Titan released through Hard Case Crime, The Return of the Maltese Falcon, and I'm almost done with that novel, and I will be writing a review, at least on the Goodreads account. We'll see. And anyway, let's see. Spider-Man Noir, number 4. I read on Bleeding Cool that there was some editorial interference on this, so I need to really reread issue 3, I think, and see. But unfortunately, that's what happens when you work in with somebody else's toys. That's why I think Eric Larson has the most fun writing Savage Dragon and keeping it real and having his artistic vision there work. And I'm riffing while I find, there we go, the credits. Can we just make this consistent? Eric Larson is the writer, Andrea Brocardo is the artist, Rochelle Rosenberg is the colorist or color artist, VC's Joe Sabino is the letterer, and Simone DeMeo did the cover, and I'm enjoying that. I know why this book exists. It's because Prime is going to release a live action series of Spider-Man Noir with Nicolas Cage as Ben Reilly. This, I believe, is still Peter Parker. And I think if you go back to the videos, I said I was probably going to wait for the app, but I kind of want to see this book succeed. I'm not as invested in Spider-Man Noir as, well, I'm really not invested in the Spider-Verse other than, I admit it, the movies. But I love when Eric Larson plays in other people's sandboxes. It's just a shame there was editorial interference. This, I'm going to be 100% honest. There was weird lettering, a weird font on the corner. So I thought, oh, is this number one? But all right, I'll catch up on the app. Nova Centurion, I believe, in the wake of the latest cosmic thing at Marvel, Richard Rider's The Last Nova. And so I picked this up to see what's happening. This is by Jed MacKay, is the writer. Alvaro Lopez and Mateo De La Fonte are the artists. The color art is Mattia Iacano, and VC's Joe Caramagna did the letters. So I don't know much here. It is Rich Rider. Okay. It's checking into the latest status of the cosmic universe. And again, I'm old enough to remember when Nova, the human rocket, first appeared. And I liked the character as a kid and lost track a little bit. And so I just wanted to check in, see where it is. Okay, the last book I got a trade because somehow I completely missed the individual issues. Los Monstruos by James Robinson, Jesus Marino, KJ Diaz is the colorist, and Jim Campbell are the letters. First of all, I love James Robinson. He, I'm sure, does not remember me, but I had a long conversation with him once, and Starman stands out for me as a very crucial book for not just because it's really good, but there was a very personal reason, and he and I got to talk about it. And so, I when I stumble across his work, I try to give it a chance. Plus, I love monsters. So it's 1950s town of basically variations of the main monsters, which everybody's doing, right? It should be fun. I'm really looking forward to this, and I think that means that I am at the end of my stack. So thank you all for being with me. Tomorrow is another day and another stack. And again, please support Horror Not Hate on Kickstarter if you have not already. And I can't think of anything else that I need to do. I got some Migos of the Atlas Seaboard characters, and so look for that in the future. I am doing a little research to write something up about the rise and fall and rise again of Atlas, because I get a press release every few years about it coming back, and it kind of goes but I got some really cool action figures. Thank you very much. Certainly, if you are enjoying this, hit the subscribe button, follow on fanboyplanet.com as well. And in the meantime, use your powers for good.